Hello, good evening, everybody. This is Dr. Debbie with Evolve Global 22's Healing Light Studio, and this is episode 2 of our new healing series. Episode 2, if you missed, first before we start, if you missed part 1 or episode 1, go back and watch it first. We talked about what Japanese walking actually is, where it came from, and why this simple practice is having such a massive moment right now. But today we are going somewhere a little bit different. Today we are getting into the actual science, what is happening inside your body, your heart, your blood vessels, your blood sugar, your joints, your nervous system, when you alternate your walking pace like this. Because here is something I believe deeply. When you understand why something works, you are so much more likely to actually stick with it. Motivation fades, understanding sticks. So let's get into the body science of interval walking, known as Japanese walking. First, let's talk about your cardiovascular system. We're starting with your heart and your blood vessels because this is where some of the most compelling research lives. When we walk at a steady, moderate pace, your heart rate rises and then plateaus. It finds a comfortable rhythm and stays there. Your body adapts to that rhythm fairly quickly, which is part of why continuous walking, while beneficial, tends to produce smaller fitness gains over time. But when you alternate between brisk and slow walking, you are doing something different. During those fast three during those 3 fast minutes, you are pushing your heart rate up toward a more vigorous zone. Then during the 3 slow minutes, you allow it to come back down. Then you push it back up again. This repeated rise and fall mimics what is called interval training in exercise science more broadly, the same underlying principle behind workouts like high-intensity interval training, just at a walking pace instead of a sprinting one. What this does over time is improve something called VO2 max, which is essentially a measure of how efficient your body uses oxygen during exercise. Higher VO2 max is one of the strongest predictions we have of cardiovascular health and even longevity. And in the original Japanese studies, the interval walking groups showed significantly greater improvements in the measure compared to people walking continuously for the same amount of time. This same up and down pattern has also been shown to improve blood pressure regulation. Research on interval walking specifically found meaningful reductions in both systolic and diastolic blood pressure in participants, particularly in midlife and older adults, which is exactly the population this method was originally designed for. So your heart is not just getting exercise, it is getting trained to handle variability, which is exactly what real life demands of it. Stress hits, then it passes. You climb a flight of stairs, then you sit back down. A cardiovascular system trained on intervals handles those everyday fluctuations more efficiently. Now let's talk about something that I think does not get enough attention in this conversation: blood sugar. Here is what is happening metabolically when you walk at a brisk pace. Your muscles need more fuel more quickly. They pull glucose out of your bloodstream to meet that demand. This is true of any vigorous movement, but the interval structure adds something extra. Because you are repeatedly shifting between higher and lower intensity, your body has to keep recalibrating how it uses fuel. This repeated metabolic shifting has been shown in research to improve insulin sensitivity, meaning your cells get better at responding to insulin and pulling glucose out of your blood efficiently. This matters enormously, my friends, especially heading into midlife, because insulin resistance is one of the quiet, underlying drives behind weight gain that will not budge. Energy crashes and long-term metabolic conditions like type 2 diabetes. In fact, Ongoing interval walking research, including newer studies in adults managing type 2 diabetes, has continued to find meaningful improvements in glucose regulation and even motor function, meaning the benefits extend well beyond fitness alone. A simple way to think about it, steady state walking is like asking your metabolism to hold one note. Interval walking is asking it to handle a melody with ups and downs. And that flexibility is exactly what makes your metabolic system more resilient over time. Now, I want to talk directly to anyone who has been told that real exercise has to be high impact to count: running, jumping, heavy pounding cardio. Here is the truth. For a lot of women, especially heading into premenopause and beyond, high impact repetitive movement can actually aggravate joints rather than strengthen the body around them, particularly if there has been a foundation of strength training already in place. Walking by its nature is low impact. Your foot strikes the ground with significantly less force than running. And the interval method gives you a way to elevate your heart rate and challenge your cardiovascular system without asking your knees, hips, and lower back to absorb high impact shock over and over again. But it still provides a real training stimulus. Remember what we talked about back in our Wellness After 40 series. Bones need mechanical load to stay strong, and muscle responds to being challenged. Brisk walking intervals provide both of those things. Your bones get weight-bearing stimulus. Your muscles, especially your legs, glutes, and core, get worked harder during those brisk minutes than they would during a steady, comfortable pace. And this isn't just theory, my friends. Newer research out of the same Shinsu University team has specifically looked at bone mineral density in postmenopausal women doing interval walking and found the benefit was especially meaningful for women who started out with lower bone density, which means this practice is not just joint friendly. For a lot of women, it is this exact life. For a lot of women, sorry, it's been a long day. For a lot of women in this exact life stage, it may be actively bone protective. So you are getting a bone protective, muscle engaging, cardiovascular challenging movement practice without the joint stress that keeps so many people sidelined from exercise altogether at this age or as they age. This is part of why this method was specifically designed with middle-aged and older adults in mind. It was never meant to be an elite athletic training protocol. It was built to be sustainable for real bodies in real midlife for the long term. Now let's talk about something near and dear to my heart that I think is the most overlooked piece of this entire practice: what it does for the nervous system. We talked in our last series about how chronic stress keeps your body locked into fight or flight mode. Cortisol stays elevated, your nervous system forgets how to downshift. Here is what is fascinating about interval walking or Japanese walking: the structure of it. Push, then ease. Push, then ease is actually a physical rehearsal of the nervous system regulation. You are asking your body to activate, then deliberately allowing it to recover over and over in a continued and safe way. This is different from constant low-grade stress where your body activates and never gets the recovery phase. And it is different from extreme all-out exercise, which can sometimes spike cortisol so high that it adds to your stress burden rather than relieving it, especially if you are already running on empty. Interval walking sits in this really powerful middle zone. Enough intensity to create a real physiological response. Enough recovery built in that your body gets to practice coming back down. Many people have shifted toward this kind of movement report feeling calmer and more clear-headed afterwards, not just physically tired, but mentally settled. This is not just cardio. This is not just metabolism. This is a practice that is teaching your nervous system, your body's actual stress response system, how to regulate itself again. So let's bring this all together. When you alternate your walking pace, you are training your cardiovascular system to handle variability more efficiently. You are improving your blood sugar regulation and insulin sensitivity. You are getting bone and muscle benefits without the joint strain of high impact exercise. And you are giving your nervous system a real embodied practice in activating and then recovering. All of that from walking, my friends. Next time in episode 3, we are getting fully practical. The exact protocol, how to pace yourself without a fitness tracker, how to modify it for your fitness level, and how to actually build this into your real life so it does not become another thing you start and quietly abandon in 3 weeks. If this episode gave you a new appreciation for something as simple as a walk, share it with someone. And if you tried it after episode 1, I would love to know how it felt. Drop a comment and tell me. Make sure and like, subscribe, and share. I will see you in the circle tomorrow. And don't forget, try your Agara Cafe. The link is in the description. And start building your medicine cabinet with Agara Cafe, my functional coffee that I love so much, and doTERRA essential oils. Peace, love, and light to you all. I love you all. I will see you tomorrow in the circle.